So I think what makes it unique, um, and it's in the name of the genre,
Hmm.
is that the primary emotion of the story will be fear.
What's up, Story Geeks? It's Jay Shear. Should you approach horror differently, and how? Please bash that like button for me. And if you have any questions for Caleb or I as this conversation progresses, just leave them down in the comments and we'll reply. Links to all of the things that we talk about in terms of tools or resources will always be in the description down below. But let's dig deeper into horror stories.
Tell me about horror. What's different about horror? What are the guidelines that you use when you're working on something that's in that genre? And then how does somebody write a horror story? What do we do? What do we look at?
Okay, let's see. So I think what makes it unique, and it's in the name of the genre, is that the primary emotion of the story will be fear. And this is not unique to horror. A romance tells you what the primary emotion is going to be.
Right.
Tragedy tells you what the primary emotion will be. Thriller tells you what the primary emotion will be. Even mystery tells you that curiosity is going to be the primary emotion that you have. So, I mean, on a very simple level, that's what differentiates all those stories.
Yeah.
You can have all of those emotions in a horror story, but you know that the fear is going to take primacy. And that's why it's a horror story.
Right.
Like at a very simple level. As far as what you need to make a horror story work, I think you just need to create fear in your audience. And I say that now there's a lot. I say that as if it's a simple thing. It's not.
Right.
But it is something that you have to practice. You have to write something and you have to give it to someone and say, does this feel scary?
Right.
Earlier this week, I talking about just you never stop learning. So I'm doing a couple of online workshops right now with writers way more experienced than me, and learning a ton. And one of them was talking about emotions in writing, and we just covered a week on fear, and the types of fear. You know, there's the things that aren't true, but the character believes, and then there's physical danger, and then there's actual emotional fear and the things that go with it. But the exercise that we had to do was to write about our personal, our most intense personal experience with fear.
Wow.
And so, first of all, I had to think about it. It did not spring to mind immediately. It took me a day or two to be like, well, what is the most? I mean, I remember kind of being scared when this happened. I remember being scared when this happened. And then I figured out what it was. And I won't spoil anything, but it's a window handle. Is the scariest thing I've ever encountered in my life. And and I wrote it down. And then I gave it to my two first readers, which is my wife and my friend Glenna, who's a writer herself. And my wife said, that is chilling. And Glenna said, that scared me. And so then I'm like, oh, okay, I succeeded at horror. You know, sometimes you will write a story and you think it's horrific and you give it to someone and they're like, this is the best comedy you've ever written. And you're like, okay, you have to reset, but you have to realize you may have written a really quality, you may have been trying to do one thing and you've written another thing. This happens all the time. But so that's you're trying to create fear in your characters and through your character and to have your audience identify with your character so closely that they feel that fear. And those, I say those as if they're simple things, but they're practice things. You just have to do it over and over and over again. And when you give it to people to read, you have to ask them very specific questions. Did you care about why this character was scared? And if not, where did I lose you?
Right.
You know, or what was the first page that didn't make you want to turn to the next page? And ask them like very specific questions about about the things you're trying to create in them as an audience and as a reader, to try to find out what's working and what's not working, and whether it,
and what format was this in? Was this a short film? Was it a comic? Was it a prose?
This was prose. This is It was a nonfiction, so it was just basically a 1,000-word essay, little thing.
Oh, no way. Cool.
Yeah. And so that's how I think. I mean, that's the consideration to writing a horror film.
That's it for today's video. Special thanks again to Caleb Monroe for joining me. If you have any comments or any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe. We've got more great content about how to write and produce your very own science fiction and fantasy stories. You don't want to miss any of that. If you want to listen to the full unedited interview between myself and Caleb, go support us over on Patreon, patreon.com. You can support us for as little as $2 a month. It's a huge help to us and we really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next video.